Hello, friends. I'm right on time. It was predetermined. I know it's still late though. I didn't know how to start this video other than I'm so disappointed with physicists and scientists alike. I really am. I've been deep diving into the area that I just am not. It's not my favorite subject. Thermodynamics. I still have nightmares about it. Heat transfer. Sorry. It never made sense to me. It kind of does now, but even then, bold. How's everyone doing? Hi. Like the video if you're just joining. I need it! Prove to me free will exists. You know, I knew I was going to be thoroughly disappointed as usual. Do you guys actually want to know the tea? You know how I always wanted to start a history channel on gossip? I have gossip. Want to know why all these physicists are fucking no, don't say that. They're not stupid. They're just led astray. It's all because of this man named Neil. He fucked it up. He fucked it up. I expect nothing and I'm still disappointed. Women. This man named Neil. Neil, he was such a hard ass. Janet disagrees with me on this, but just based on the information, guy was a hard ass. Janet's like, I don't know if that's appropriate. It's like, Janet, a guy that belittles people for exploring determinism, it's giving small dick energy. It's giving asshole. It's giving, I'm so insecure about my framework that I'm just going to shame anybody that disagrees with me. It's like, oh my God. And so people adopted this faulty framework of determinism to this day. It's like still ingrained based on this man's incompetence. I don't know what we would call it. Was he married? Was he miserable, low-key? I don't know. So there was some beef. Not beef. I'm calling it beef because I'm dramatic, but there were debates going on during this time. Private debates. Okay. Could not find any transcript of such. It was like, were there video cameras at this time? Unclear. It's like, yeah, there were, bitch. But no, they were secret debates that happened between Einstein, our boy, our deterministic man's, probably the first, between him and Neil. Fucking Neil. That's the merch. Fucking Neil. Okay. There were debates going on because essentially Neil did not believe in anything deterministically. He was like, I don't like it. Einstein's like, I'm like pretty sure it's deterministic. By pretty sure, like I know it is. Sorry, I'm like so dramatic. This is the first time I'm talking today. But before we get into the tea, literally, I was thinking about this man, and you will know him when I pull up this video. And if you don't know him, I'm just assuming you live under a rock. Do you guys remember this man?
Now, imagine that this folder is a dimensional plane. Now, assuming that it is no height and no depth, what would this mean? It would mean that it's a one-dimensional world. So if, hypothetically, an organism was living inside of it, it would only be able to move in a linear path forward and backwards in a straight line. Now, if we go to the second dimension, we have two dimensions. We have width and we have length. So hypothetically, if an organism lived inside of here, then it would be able to move up, down, left, right, and anywhere else in between. And a two-dimensional world is comprised of an infinite series of one-dimensional worlds stacked upon each other. Just as our three-dimensional world, which has depth and length and height, is comprised of an infinite series of two-dimensional worlds. So, now that I have stacked many folders upon each other, we have three dimensions. We have depth, we have length, and we have width. Now what happens if you keep going on from here on out? We would have a four-dimensional world, but what exactly is a fourth dimension? In order to understand this...
Before I let him keep going, you know when you just recognize giftedness, like natural giftedness in somebody? This was that moment for me. I'm like, what an intelligent young man. The video's titled like High Schooler Explains the Fourth Dimension, and I'll let him keep going because I think it frames the entire discussion moving forward better. I'm seeing everybody. Hello, everybody. Wait. I thought Einstein was the one who said God doesn't play dice with the universe. A lot of people thought that this was like, oh, he's religious, but really what he's describing is there's absolutely nothing probabilistic about the universe and that it is determined. Hello. Hello. Hi, Star. This video is funny. See, how's this man doing? You know, I'm just like thinking to myself, I hope the school system didn't fuck this one up, you know?
We need to understand how dimensions are perceived.
I just want to take all the gifted children under my wing and just nourish their, like, what would you call that? Excellence? It's beyond that. Just like, you know for sure he was bullied after this video. This video got 45 million views. And you guys know my belief on dark matter and cancel culture and whatnot, my new framework of information theory. But I'm just like, I remember hearing about this guy disappeared from the internet, and I'm like, oh no, we must react to his video and we must fix that message of negativity. Like, wow, what a smart young man. Somebody must have been so jealous of it. You know what I mean? I mean, you can't fake this. This is inherent intelligence that I support, and I hope he's doing well.
We live in the three-dimensional world, but despite that, we actually view things to be two-dimensionally. Take a perfect sphere, for example.
This kid is actually grown now and had a hard time since the video, but better now. He might have fallen into a black hole, but you're out here, baby. I believe a black hole is about 10 years. Okay? You're okay. Hey, if my theory stands correct, absolute positivity about this young man, okay? Pushes him forward into integration. It's like, why do we need integration? Because these are the people that solve world problems, y'all. And when people say mean things, they halt that integration process out of their own envy. Sick. This is why gifted individuals end up being, what's that? It's like, I know giftedness when I see it. This man is absolutely gifted. Absolutely gifted. And what happens in a society that is not created for giftedness, because honestly, giftedness emerges from neurodivergence. Don't believe me? Look at the information. Okay. When society is not set up for neurodivergent individuals, let alone giftedness, it ends up stifling it. And these are the ones that are in like the top 2% of the world. They fix shit, Okay. And when we make fun of them or do things that affect that intelligence to foster, because when you get older, arguably, if everything's in the right conditions, they solve things quickly, which I love. Exploit them, not like that though, but like when the world is not set up, these individuals usually don't do much with their lives, not because they're not capable. It's one of the biggest misunderstandings. It's like, oh, if you're intelligent, you're going to end up on a better trajectory, which might be true for like the ones that have a stable environment. It's not true for all of them. And actually, I would say there's more outside influences like people, all of us, that have a negative effect on their ability to have positive outcomes. Truly, be nice to people. Don't be so jealous, you know? Anyways, being gifted has more negative, like emotional effects, negative. A lot of people who are gifted are unemployed. Neurospicy individuals are elite, and we need to treat them as such. Thank you. Anyways, he's going to explain the fourth dimension and why it's almost impossible, or why it is impossible for us to perceive, but we're just going to like open our minds. Can you tell I rewatched Interstellar?
If you're looking at a sphere, it looks just
Is it
like a
super
regular
loud?
two-dimensional circle. The only way that you can
Sorry.
tell it's an actual sphere instead of a circle is because of the hues of light on it. So just like in a two-dimensional world, if a organism in the two-dimensional world was looking upon a circle, the light would make it appear to be lighter at one end and darker in the middle. Also, if an object is moving closer and farther away from you, you don't actually perceive that it's getting closer and farther away. You see that it's getting smaller or larger, and then you assume that it's getting either farther away or closer. But let's say that an object was to grow in perfect equilibrium, so that it was growing at the same speed that it was shrinking as you move it farther away. Then you would not be able to tell, without any lights or if there were details on the object, that it's moving or growing at all. You may have assumed that since we perceive things to be in two dimensions, that a two-dimensional organism would see in one dimension. So, as we're watching this rubber band expand as it moves farther away from this little organism in the two-dimensional world, it does not actually perceive anything is happening to it because it's growing at the same speed that it's moving farther away. But since we can actually see it from the three-dimensional world and perceive things to be in two dimensions, we can see things for how they actually are. The reason that the two-dimensional organism doesn't see things the way they really are is because the two-dimensional organism sees things in one dimension, just how we, three-dimensional creatures, see things in two dimensions. So in a way, we don't really see our world the way it truly is. A four-dimensional creature, however, seeing our three-dimensional world in three dimensions, would be able to see through things. Would be able to see absolutely everything, just as we could see if there was several organisms spread along a 2D environment on your floor. You would be able to see inside houses. You would be able to see inside of people. So if a two-dimensional world, a flat surface, is just made of an infinite amount of lines, then the 3D world is just made out of an infinite amount of planes. So the 4D world, logically, is made out of an infinite amount of 3D objects. Though they're not just put together like you would like building blocks. That's not how the 4D world is. That would just be 3D again. So in order to understand this, we need to understand the logical progression of mathematics in our world. Imagine that this connects piece represents the first dimension. It's simply a straight line, which is basically what the first dimension looks like. And if you add 3 more of these straight lines and connect them so that adjacent sides are perpendicular and opposite sides are parallel, then you have the basic shape of the second dimension. You have a square. Now, if you keep going from here, and you add it so that there's a total of 4 squares, and all adjacent sides are perpendicular, and all opposite sides are parallel, then you end up with dimension even. You can go to the 5th dimension, the 6th dimension, the 71st dimension. It doesn't matter. Theoretically, there are an infinite amount of spatial dimensions. A common misconception of the 4th dimension is that the 4th dimension is time. Now, while some argue that by going forward and backwards in time, if you move forward the same distance and backwards the same, then you would end up in the same place you started, just like in the 4th dimension. And while that may seem logical, if you think about it, it really doesn't make sense. If you imply that the 4th dimension is actually time, well, first of all, time is not spatial. There's a difference between space and time, quite obviously. And assuming that all dimensions are according to a pattern, then that doesn't really make sense either, because saying the 4th dimension is time, every dimension has time in it. So that would mean that the 4th dimension is special in some way, which doesn't really make any sense. Another reason this doesn't make sense is that we very...
If I'm not mistaken too, how long ago? Either this video was like 15 years ago, which we're in 2023. I think it was only recently, like 2011 or 2010, that they realized, well, they realized it, I think in the late 90s, but somebody didn't get a Nobel Prize for it until 2011, I believe. If I'm not wrong, that the universe is expanding and accelerating quickly. So him saying that right now, just from like me absolutely hyperfixating on this entire topic, I mean, this child is gifted. It's so obvious. It's just like, oh my God, love him.
Very, very slightly travel through time whenever we move, due to the distance that light takes to get to our body. Now, if a group of astronauts were to get in a spaceship and they were to go very, very, very close to the speed of light, then they went around in this impossible, nearly the speed of light spaceship for a few months, and then afterwards they returned to Earth. They would find that Earth had actually progressed a few years, so they had moved forward in time by moving that quickly. Another interesting concept involving the 4th dimension is that many physicists and even mathematicians may say that the dimensions are very, very slightly curved, because if you really think about it, nothing can be truly, absolutely infinite. So imagine that the first dimension, the line, is just very, very slightly curved, so that after a very long time, it will end up creating a circle. So, as suggested by many physicists, if you keep going in the same direction, then you will end up where you started after a very, very long amount of time, obviously. And the same thing would happen to the 2nd dimension. If it's just a square, and then you extend it very, very...
Like, how did he know that? Sorry, I'm like listening to it again, like fully fucking focused, and how I'm just currently thinking, I'm sort of starting to think in a little bit of a weird way that the universe is arguably in a cylinder. Like, as he's talking, he's just saying, in my head, I'm like, wait, that would mean that time that would mean that you would eventually get back to square one at the end of it. Ah! And he just said that. And I'm just like, holy shit. Holy elite.
Slightly in a curve, and it will eventually make a sphere. And the same thing happens in our dimension, except it will form a very, very slightly curved third dimension, which will form a four-dimensional universe, basically. So what this kind of means is that our three-dimensional world is within a four-dimensional world, and the four-dimensional world is within a fifth-dimensional world, and so on. Now, I did say that nothing can be truly infinite, but if this is true, and a dimension is really within another dimension, within another dimension, within another dimension, then I'm implying that there's an infinite amount of dimensions, which is the only problem I really have with this theory. I'm not sure if it ever stops, or if infinity is really even possible. We don't know that. Thanks for watching my video, and I hope this gave you a better idea of what the fourth dimension is.
Somebody was so jealous of how intelligent he was. Holy shit. Somebody want to go ask him? Does anybody know where I can find this man? Do you think it's still infinite? We want an update. I want to watch him reacting to it. I don't... gives me chills, you know? I'm so young. So young. My head hurts. That's okay. I once dated a woman who had infinite dimensions. Multi-dimensional thinking. I'm allergic to being rejected, so if you want to save my life, you have to go mini golfing with me. Okay. Say lies. I love a good mini golf. FOMO. At the end of all our exploring, will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. It's possible with the way that things are moving and dark matter. I don't know. Before I went live, I was like, what if it's a simulation, but not in the way that we conceptualize simulations? But sometimes I go too hard in the theories, yo. Because I was like, wait a minute. While I was making my case for determinism, oh god, we need hair. Please donate. As I was making my case for determinism, I'm just thinking to myself, wait a minute, that would unify fucking general relativity and quantum mechanics, arguably, which is what people have been trying to do forever. It's not people, whether they're on drugs. I'm just kidding. Everybody wants to unify, and it was like, it unifies when you follow determinism. Who cares? But then I was thinking, it was like, wait a minute, that would imply that it's a closed system. Oh my god, what is beyond the universe? And the only plausible thing that my brain came up with was some sort of like computational reality, which already exists. It's just called something else. But in my brain, I was like, computational reality. So think of whatever the thing is with the computer systems. And then I was like, oh, ew. I don't like it. I don't know how I feel about that. It's just, it's weird to perceive, especially in the way that we conceptualize right now. And then my brain opened another tab of like a tesseract. And I remember watching a what do you call it? Like a video, which according to our man, who's not wrong, we can't even conceptualize it. Even if somebody wanted to make like a GIF, whatever it's called, trying to show you what it would arguably look like a model or something, it wouldn't be correct because it goes beyond perception. And I'm like, holy fucking shit. How do I word that? So, more free balling, it's fine. So, anytime I talk about the non-existence of free will, whenever, sorry, whenever I talk about free will not being real, I'm often met with a lot of contentious feedback. Okay, can you just like fuck with me for a moment? Okay, just a thought experiment. Okay, I know you're already predestined to believe that we have free will, so I'm not even mad. So stop getting mad at me. But I'm just like, wait a minute. Free will, to people who believe in free will, is the concept that we control our decisions, choices, and whatever. I pick a blue shirt, not a green one. And I'm like, that would put us at the perspective of the universe. I am the center of the universe. And I was like, holy dimensional shit. Wait a minute. Adopting a framework like determinism, which I have done already. You can find it when people yell at me, and I'm just like, why don't you see it? Like, it's like people always are like, oh, you're evading the question. I'm like, no, you're just perceiving it differently. Okay. We're different. But I'm just like, wait a minute. If we're the center of the universe, everything, decisions, whatever, revolve around us. I say free will doesn't exist. So it removes that. And I was like, wait a minute. What if that is the tesseract? What if that is the higher level of dimensional thinking? And the reason it's just so is because we cannot reconcile that where the world revolves around us mentality, which has been no more prevalent than the rise of social media and narcissism. Love you. Okay. Just like, not you, like the other people, right? The annoying ones. I was like, well, jolly, like golly, wait a minute. And then I fell down another tab, or had another tab open, where I was like, how does your perspective change from people who do believe in free will, which is majority of people, okay? I'm not even saying that I'm right, okay? You could argue it's the other way. But I'm just like, well, it sort of reframes everything as being able to see before, present, and future all in the present moment, all the time. And I was like, wait a minute. Isn't that what Interstellar, which is a movie, but it did have science, it had physicists on it, okay? It was based on whatever they thought was the most probable. They were trying to bring it into existence, but the whole concept of time, Cooper going down into the fucking black hole shit, okay? That was a tesseract. You know the thing? The lines? Him being able to see before, present, and future all in like one viewing. That's what I'm talking about, like all the time. I'm like, what if it's this has so many implications. This means that the whole Schrodinger Jesus, the Schrodinger equation, or anything that has to deal with the observed, it totally reframes it when you see things from like a deterministic lens. So anyways, that's where my brain's going. Like the video for my troubles, okay? It's a lot of brain power. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying it's an interesting reframing of events. That's all. Let me see what y'all be saying. Are you yelling at me? Can you do ASMR? I'm too spazzy for it. I always thought of free will as the double split experiment. So I've been looking at a lot of like the double split experiment, the cat again, and I'm just thinking to myself, okay, why is it? Here was my objective. I was like, why is it that so many physicists are not determinists? Maybe I'm missing something. I'm willing to go back. Okay. And just, I realized it has absolutely nothing to do with, like, how would I frame that? It's like the way that we're measuring things is fundamentally incomplete, which is a bold claim that I'm just making now. But if you are, okay, for instance, if you are looking at an electron, a little, the thing, the negative charge, baby, okay? How the fuck do they evens? I don't know. That part I don't know. I'm assuming they just warm up an area, like let's get some electrons going. Those are the ones we're going to measure. Maybe a spasm with some light. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. But it's like they're like, it's definitely probabilistic because we can only decide if the electron's position after observation is up or down. Okay, so they're looking at this electron, they're looking at it going through these two lines, baby. And it's like they look at it before, okay. I think it actually has to be two electrons, right? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but essentially they're looking at which way it's facing. Is it up or down? It can only be up or down. Okay. And every time they do it, no matter what, they get a probabilistic answer, meaning like they do it this amount of times and it's facing up, but they do it the next 5 and it's facing down. It's like inherently, in my worldview, deterministic, but to them, it's inherently probabilistic because you cannot decide which way it will be facing before you measure it. It's like, well, can you do that actually? It's like if I look at it now, I have one that has it's facing up and the other one's facing down. I actually think this goes into entanglement, which I'm not fully understanding yet. So hold on. I'm telling you guys what I've learned. And it's like they look at it now and this one's facing up, that one's facing down. Write that down. They do it again. This one's facing up, this one's facing down. They do it 10 times. 5 of them, it's facing up. 5 of them, it's facing down. That seems inherently probabilistic. I was like, is it though? Because like to me, my perspective, that's entirely deterministic. It's like, well, how did they know how many times we were gonna do test it? How did it know we were gonna test it 10 times? So it gave me 5 times this and 5 times that. Because it's deterministic. You fucking idiot. I'm just kidding. It's like, it makes sense to me, but to them, it's inherently probabilistic. And I was just like, okay. Why though? Why do we seemingly see this totally differently? Like that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Devin says it's like we are trying to observe and measure something running at 10K frames per second, but we can only observe at 30 frames per second. We have to measure off probably. Welcome to quantum. So that was the other thing. Thank you. That was the other thing. So when I envision this world, personally, I think that everything arguably is just like a computer. Okay, if you like thinking of a computer, an algorithm, an algorithm's probably an easier way to conceptualize it. It's like based on all the tabs you opened and all your search history, this seems like the most probable video you will click on type thing. I see that with the universe all the time. The issue is that we don't have sensitive enough equipment to be able to, and I say sensitive for one, it's like sensitive would be one type of way to measure something, like something with that would have to deal with gravity and dark matter. But it's like something that's like highly intelligent. It's like there's so many different things that could happen that it's impossible to come up with a machine that could predict to like the most exact thing 100%. I think that's like where the issue is. It's like we don't have something that is that precise, but it's like, so then why don't we do that? We're smart, you know. But at the same time, it'll be like 12 o'clock noon, and I'm like, how the fuck do we not have a silent leaf blower? Just like so much noise. What do you think has determined the laws of the universe itself? So I think there's like, well, I haven't gotten that far, but if I had to guess, there's probably another law. Honestly, though, if you were to reframe the universe as deterministic, would that become a law? I don't know. Because if that was a law, something like where would it? It's like thermodynamics. Ew. No. The second law of like it haunts me, y'all. It fucking haunts me. No, I'm just thinking like, let's assume that everything was deterministic. It's like, so then how does gravity, how is that relative? It's like, well, on this planet, but if the universe itself, I don't know, actually. Surprisingly. I'm just kidding. No, like, of course I don't know. I'm thinking. Because of that curvature. See, it fucks me up because when I think of like the curvature of space and time, I'm thinking of like a cylinder of the universe. It's like, well, why would it be a cylinder, you fucking idiot? And it's like, well, why does dark matter emerge if it's not inside something stupid? So it's clashing. You're like, wait, what? And it's like, well, think about it. If dark matter, which is like this mist that exists in the universe, doesn't have mass, right? Yeah, it can't because it's there. It's like, why would that arise? It wouldn't unless we were a closed system. Sorry if I just gave you like an existential crisis. Welcome. I don't know. But right now, this idea that it, like, okay, we figured out semi-recently that the universe is expanding and accelerating quickly. But before, we didn't think that was the case. It's just like, that makes sense to me why you wouldn't believe in determinism. But now that it's expanding and it's accelerating, like that to me is clearly an emergent property. And I can't understand why nobody else sees it that way. And I don't mean that to be pretentious. I feel like that's the most obvious. Like, it's just, hi, hello, hello. And it's like, why can't we see that? And it's like, because the universe revolves around us. I don't know. Okay. It's like, well, how would you know that that's 100% true if we cannot measure the distance. It's like too far away to measure to find your cylinder that I hypothetically made up. Fair, okay? Fair, but there's other things, like how I was saying there's that mist that it just exists in an infinite universe. Bullshit. Nope, that comes up in a closed system. You put a hot liquid in a graduated cylinder, you see the smoke, right? But if you just dumped it, well, you probably still could see the mist. No, it's still enclosed. You know what I mean? I'm being silly. So far away, so much better. But if you were wondering about that question, you can read that book for this other one by the guy named Lee Smollett. Who's Lee? He sounds handsome. The ever expanding universe, something like that. I don't know anymore. It's on one of my shelves. Well, you gotta find it. Go look. I want to read it. I want to read it. Right? This is why deterministic folks seem to not care. We are in thought of the universe while others are worried about day to day. I know, it's like this. It's like, Torrie, what do you do when you're bored? I'm never bored because I'm constantly trying to figure out a way to solve world problems in the comforts of my home, of course, that I never leave. I'm just kidding. It's just, in my free time, I try to take things that I believe are true. Believe. Okay, I pick that word on purpose. That means I'm not being pretentious, okay? I understand the limitations. I'm just like, if this is true, what would this mean for things like physics? Which is why I blame Melanie. This is why I'm here right now for fucking quantum. Like when I read Robert Sapolsky's Determined, the reason I had to read it multiple times was the whole quantum shit. And then I just finished writing the book on determinism, and I've been like, you should add in the part on quantum stuff. And I'm like, no, it's fine the way it is. And I'm just like, I probably should, though. It can't be that long to learn it. And it's like, you're a perfectionist. I was like, no, I feel like it's necessary. Because I didn't realize that it's like I remember Robert Sapolsky talked about chaos theory, and I don't think he said that physicists were led astray. But the more that I come across like free will, for instance, in quantum mechanics specifically, I'm just like, whoa, where did they get this definition? Convenient. And then I go back through the causal chain. I'm just like, wow, it was Neil. I blame Neil Bohr. It's like absolutely necessary for quantum mechanics. But I'm just saying, you have somebody like Einstein who's saying that the universe is deterministic. We just haven't grounded it yet. I feel like, has he been wrong before? For sure. For sure. I think there's been a lot of people that have disproved many things that he said. I can't think of, there's one sort of off the top of my head, but I can't remember it. It's right there. It's right there. I think it has to do with fucking radiation. Hawking radiation? No. Black holes? I think it has to do with black holes. Oh, that information is destroyed? Which goes, no, that's not it. What is it? It'll come to me. This is fun for me, trying to retrieve it. What was it? I feel like that's probably it. You know, they say whatever is your gut feeling if you test poorly. You change the answer, you have more of a bad outcome. So I'm trying to learn to trust my gut, but I don't know, that feels wrong. But it's probably that. I don't know. Well, that's actually something that is covered, a topic that is covered in that book I was talking about. One of your last streams about something called variable speed of light theory. Speaking of, hey, yeah, I want to read that. I was like taking notes, and like the hidden variable theory. I was like, why do people keep, when they talk about determinism in general, why do they keep getting this theory wrong? I'm just spitballing now. And I was like, I have a headache because people keep taking that guy, which your comment reminded me of it. It's like they keep taking his hidden variable theory and fucking it up when they're trying to disprove free will in particular. I was like, why are they doing that? So actually, if you find that book, I definitely want to fucking read it. I've been saying I think information travels at the speed of light, and everybody thinks I'm insane. That's fine. I think it does. I think it's the only thing that does. But now I'm in weird territory. Okay, where are we going, Tori? Unclear. Like, I think the only thing that travels at the speed of light is information. Whether we can quantize that or not is up to whether or not people want to believe in determinism. If people believed in determinism, it would force you to find that particle. It's like, why aren't we doing it? I'm going to go march into Caltech. No, I'm just kidding. Never. I have a headache also. I'm so sorry. I love you. Keep learning. I'm trying. Okay, I don't like it. I don't have tattoos. E equals mc squared. I should come up with my own equation. I tried to the other day, and I was like, this is not consistent. I hate it. I hate it. The universe itself is faster than the absence of light is too. Wait. Fuck. I feel too many folks been getting them removed for the like decade or so. Oh, tattoos? So I actually wrote a whole thing, many things, on see, I feel like it's boring though. It's boring to me, so I don't want to go. And if it's boring to me, it's boring to you guys. But I'm just like, what's your favorite genre of movie? I don't really watch them. But action or sci-fi. But it has to be as close to real as it could be. Same with, like, I like the Titanic solely on the fact that what's-his-face was absolutely adamant about getting the science right. Like, this is the way that the waves would fucking go through it while it's sinking. Like, I like that shit. I like that shit a lot. Anything that's based on a true story, but it has to be like realistic. Otherwise, you know, there's like those horror movies based on a true story. It's like the only thing true about it was like somebody passed away, unfortunately. Like, I need more than that. Which is boring. I don't know. How can you say something travels at the speed of light when it doesn't? How can you say something travels at the speed of light when it doesn't? Information? Think about it. You typing that message, when you hit send, I think that that's faster than a light switch. Not the typing of it, but just the sending it, I think is faster than speed of light. I would argue it's probably like 0.0000. Just kidding. It's like 10 to the negative 60. Thank you. Because I feel it to be true. I ain't no scientist, though. Okay. Maybe the answer is that it's a deterministic universe, but we will never be able to measure enough detail. So have to say that the universe is probably. Dean, that is a. You're right. You're right. I just. Imagine the science that would come out, though, if we just adopted, just for a little bit, that it's deterministic. Like we would see more. How would you like more experiments? I feel like such a nerd when I say that word. Ew. We would have more experiments that would focus more on like gravity and sensitivity than it does on whether or not a particle is up or down. It's like the measurement problem. Yeah, no shit. They're entangled. It's like we got entanglement, all this stuff that is unnecessary. I'm just kidding. It is necessary, but I think there's like an overarching, like, hello. I don't know. Maybe that's inherently the problem. Maybe it's like that's inherently the issue when it comes to thinking in another dimension, because we have this one perspective that like people are so tied to that it has to be true. I'm not saying that you don't have to operate like it is. I operate like I have free will every day. I think that's a hard concept to reconcile. Like if it were like you had no choice, you know? Well, I say that it's like no free will, you have no choice. But it's like nothing changes. Like people are still, if it works for you or you believe it does, you know, I think it's just like we have so many decisions and our brain is constantly trying to reconcile different things all the time that we consciously think that we have like choice in the matter, and it's okay, whatever. I won't be annoying. Yes, I will. I have no choice. Just kidding. I don't know. NASA stuff is interesting. Not sure if there's movies like that. I saw a headline recently that something like Jeff Bezos going in, like he wants to do something different that's actually grounded in something. I haven't read the article. It popped up, I think today. I was like, since when does Jeff Bezos have? And then I was like, oh, okay, bye. Fuck. Electrons travel at the speed of light. Yeah. I thought, did I say they didn't? What about photons, though? But that was the thing I was thinking of. Wait. Photons. Fuck. That was the thing that I needed earlier that I couldn't think of. What was the thing that Einstein discovered? The photon? It's actually something with the particles. My brain is just mush at this point, okay? I gotta sleep on it. Took in way too much information today. What's my best thing before a test? You know how they say cramming in information is useful? It's only useful if there was sleep in between that. Follow me for more tips. Seriously, like there's no point in trying to cram right before a test if you didn't sleep. If anything, it's counterintuitive. But if you can sleep, you crammed as much as you could and you can sleep, and then you have whatever before the test to go over, cram, sleep, and then do that part. Or else you are just fucking yourself up. Just saying. It took me a very long time to learn that. Okay. I'm trying to grace you with my insight and wisdom. We learned that when we were learning about juggling and learning new habits and stuff. I remember that. It's like, you got to sleep on it. It's true. If you stopped a wave of light and it was able to alter the wave of the light, would that change the future? If you stopped the wave of light and was able to alter the wave of light, would that change the future? If you stopped a wave of light, you mean like shut it off? What do you mean? If you stopped a wave of light, you can't. It's too fast. What do you mean? What do you mean? Neil deGrasse is awesome. His YouTube is interesting if you like speed of light and anything universal because he knows how it works. So much to learn. I actually really do like Neil deGrasse. I heard a lot of people don't like him. I was like, really? I love him and his co-host. I think his co-host is so funny. But they're funny together. I was like, people just don't like Neil because they're jealous of his intellect. They're like, oh, he's pretentious. It's like, or he's really excited about the science he knows and he's excited to get your reaction. Perspective. I'm just saying, okay. Physics is basically just statistics. That sounds like some crystal science shit. The other cool thing is that a neutron changes its pattern to an inference pattern, matter, to adjust to observation. It returns to its precursor, the beginning of existence, to do so. Wait, where's your other comment? I gotta make sure I get it. Oh. You look like Bella True. True. Okay, wait. The other cool thing is that a neutron changes its pattern to an inference pattern to adjust to observation. It returns to its precursor, the beginning of existence. The other cool thing is that it. Well, I feel like that's just a way to say. I'm just kidding. Never mind. Like everything travel. Why are we yelling? That's fine. It's fine. I see you. Like everything travels in wavelengths. So if you were able to alter the wavelength, wouldn't that alter what you see? How would you alter the wavelength if you can't see it though, sir? Ma'am? You mean in a controlled setting? I don't know. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. In theory, yeah. I just don't know if we'd be able to do that. You would need a very sensitive system to be able to even. Do we have that? I don't even know. I'm like not the best person to ask. Based on my research, I don't think so. I see you. I like it. Write that down. We can just start our own club. Would you be friends with Neil deGrasse Tyson? Absolutely. You know how convenient would I would call him up every day. I feel like he'd be great to talk to at a party. He can be really smug. Sometimes I think we think that when people who have brains, like I used to think, oh, they come off smug, and it's like maybe it's just us, you know? Maybe they're just really excited to tell you about how fast they can heat a pizza on Mars. Didn't you say something like that? Actually, come to think of it, whatever it was about the pizza, he was bringing up how he was like, "Oh, it would take this amount of things," and he was actually bringing up how somebody called him out on radiation or something. Did you incorporate like the radiation of negative something? And he's just like, I was dumbfounded because no, I didn't think of that. It does change it. Something like that. Ironically. I remember the weirdest shit. Like, is he smug or is he just like a computer? I don't know. What is smug? Having or showing excessive pride in oneself or one's achievements. It's giving projection. I'm just kidding. But seriously, what if how would you distinguish between somebody that's just really excited about the science they know and they think that you'll be excited too? Like in a neurodivergent type of way? And then we're like, "Oh, they're smug." It's like, what if we are projecting the pride that we wish we had in ourselves that they seem to inhabit? I don't know. I'm healing. It's my healing era. Tori, get off. That would change the future depending on water, Milky Way. You alter a wave via interaction with another. Can't you think deep enough for that? Have I stumped you, nerd? Or excited? Ew. Why don't we hang out and do half the stuff I'll tell everyone we did? What? Light bulbs. Torshaa, this is very important to point out, though, that while it has been said that electrons can travel at the speed of light, they can only travel at the speed of light while in a vacuum. Does this support my universe is in a cylinder? Not yet. You heard it here first, children. Just kidding. Though well, it's been said that electrons can travel at the speed of light. They can only travel at the speed of light while in a vacuum. So a closed system. Okay. I see. A perfect vacuum, to be specific. Is this a Republican science channel? You can just say you're boring. Just kidding. Mars pizza. Oh, I'm behind. My lord. Yes, a cylindrical shape with slices like a loaf of bread has been theorized before, or God damn it. It's always been done before. That means I'm on the right track. Has this really been thought of before? I need to go down this direction. Because it helps me conceptualize these concepts. You know, everybody talks about general relativity. They're just like, wow, it explains the universe. I was like, to who? It took me so long. It's like, to who? Like, oh, we threw something and it always went down. And if a man is falling from a building, does he feel gravity the same? I'm like, how would I know? I haven't thrown myself out of a building. I just had an idea of what to do for my birthday. Jumping out of a plane. I wish I could be thrown back in through time without knowledge of things I know now. Just to, like, I see people on TikTok sometimes talking about like fortunes, and I'm like, you're dumb. I'm like, I wonder what that was like. It's like, oh, here we go. People are trying to overthrow that stripper, Kelsey, and saying that all the crops went bad because she danced last night. I'm just like, were those the vibes? I don't know. But people were doing that, y'all. The Salem witch trials were that. I wish I grew up around that time. I want to know. Like, that's probably why people love gossip. You relied on it to explain most of the world. Oh my God. All of Stan's crops just. We woke up and they were gone. I heard that Chelsea was fucking the mayor. It's like, I know there could be something more medieval. I heard that. You know that? Wait, you know that beautiful colored paint that Prince James just put up in his house? So and so died 2 days later. I think they cursed the paint. They did, let alone it was like arsenic. I don't know. It's like not funny, but I think it's funny. I like torshaa at the speed of light, even in a medium. Thanks. Love you. Dude, if I would have been burned at the stake. I'm a ginger. I would be blamed for all the crops. And I would just be like, you're fucking idiots. Imbeciles! Low intelligent peasants! Please don't kill me. I have ideas. The Salem witch trials was pure gossip. No, it was. I think someone got framed. And so everybody got framed. Who? It's Tori's fault I'm bald. That one was me. Fuck y'all. Just me with my voodoo dolls, just like, Sean will be bald. Actually, all men after the age of 20. Okay, ew. I would hope people would run and hide when I enter the stores. Just like, oh no, that's the lady that can give us the bad fortune. You're damn right. Peasants, get the fuck out of my way. I would lead with that one. That one I'd be like, yeah, it's true. She put a hex on me. Wait. Yeah, the real reason that the Salem witch trials happened was the girls got out of chores and got to spend time with their parents. That's the prevailing theory for the false accusations. Whoa. Really? I've heard different things, but nothing that, like, to me, I think, like, when that pops up in my brain, I just think smear campaign. It's like, here we go, blaming the house. Convenient. I don't know. I think most like issues in history were like some form of a smear campaign. I don't know if I would die on that hill. Maybe. I have to think about it. But think about it. If like you were worried about being guillotined, is that even a verb? You know, I'm a blame the peasant. The town how? Fuck him. It's fucked up. It's real fucked up. Like how we even had a court of law. Stupid. Crazy. Let's talk about entanglement theory and what you're doing Saturday. Calm your boner. Wait, yeah, girls under 18 and not married were expected to do the house tasks and weren't treated well. If they pretended illness, they stayed home, tended to attention from fathers. I will. You know what I was thinking about? I remember there was this mysterious dancing plague. Have you guys heard of this? If you haven't, you will now. There was a folklore. No, there was a time. Well, I guess it would be a folklore. Apparently, a woman was dancing in the middle of the street. Like, really, she was going harder than your underground rave on ecstasy. I mean, she was going, and the belief was, well, she was going, and then other people joined in and they couldn't stop. And it was just swarms of people that once they started dancing, they could not stop and eventually died. Like people were dying. It was like, what caused that? Social contagion is one thing. I don't know. I look at it as like, first of all, this idea that people were dancing and just died in groups, like that doesn't seem plausible. But what does seem plausible is like a riverborne illness or something that was highly contagious. I don't know, something that we don't see anymore, that when you're sweating in close proximity somehow like jumps. Like to me that's more plausible. And then it's not dancing, it's just like like really what's not restricting, what's the word? It's like really crazy movements that you can't stop, like contractions. And it's like the way gossip. Oh my God, did you hear about that area in Paris? There was like a dance party because they didn't have the word for contractions. They can't differentiate. The life history is just a story and a narrative, meaning it's just gossip. Depends on who's telling it. You know. Mass hysteria. Like the nuns who wouldn't stop meowing. Wait. I never thought I'd say that entire sentence. Sean? The nuns who wouldn't stop meowing? You must follow up. What are you talking about? When was this? Yeah, socially transmitted psychosis, social contagion, as physical malady. That's real. So is your ancient LSD theory. Spoiled grain causes similar behaviors and illness. There's a that spoiled grain was actually the like if you take certain you can't take certain illnesses and make a direct causal chain back and say this was it. But if there's the first emergent psychiatric disorders that involved a psychotic element, I'm trying to keep it broad. um when it was first recorded in history, which depends on who you ask around the world. Honestly, I've heard different things, but it's all around this time of um, this grain, this toxic grain, something that grew on this grain. Um, like during famines and stuff, it would emerge. It's like, that's a pretty big deal. Crazy. I don't know. I wonder if that's even still a thing anymore. Well, it has to be if it's still, but that's what they pointed to as like the reason for seeing psychotic behaviors emerge. It's arguably a point that there had to be a starting point for everything, is how I'm thinking about it. Oftentimes it's like, did we just get better at seeing it now? It's like, well, there arguably was a time where it was a first, right? And something widespread like a grain, for it to be everywhere, crazy. I like it. History is a set of lies agreed upon. So said Napoleon anyway. That's why if you really want to get history accurate, using Ken Wilber's integral theory at the time of a claim will get you the comprehensive view. Using like AQAL, quad, intersubjective, intrasubjective, all that. It's like, how would me, with my own goals in mind, tell this story? Okay. How would others tell the story based on what they knew at the time and their information? Who would view this that has a vendetta out to get me? I always add in like somebody that has ill intent, but it could be yourself. You could be projected. It depends on how you want to look at it. But anyways, in order to get the most accurate representation of anything now, I feel like you would need like that quad perspective. That's a hot take. And anybody who ever tries to give a perspective of like another account of people, they will get canceled, which is kind of problematic. We were just talking about that Daryl Cooper guy, talking about what would make World War II soldiers commit the acts that they did. It's like they had to arguably think that they were getting rid of this personified evil, not agreeing with it, but people were like outraged over it. It's crazy. We're yelling. The last arguably justifiable war. I don't think any war is justifiable. Just depends on who tells it. I'm crazy. I don't know if I would die on that hill. 50 years ago, we didn't have makeup, and 500 years ago, you're pooping in a hole. First of all, we've had makeup As far back as the Egyptians. My peeps. Thank you. Hello. It was like one of the things I remember doing an entire research paper on. Graphite, eyeliner, paint. But it probably came before that with like indigenous people, depending on where you are. Fuck. Oh no, my computer is gonna die. Fascism developed to end the mystery of collectivist communism. The war was a push back against capitalistic drives. Okay. Mm. Depends. It's a hot take. It depends. Like when we say fascism, just to be clear, are we talking somebody becoming a dictator, or are we talking about like legit fascism? Because I feel like it could be both. You say communism, so I'm. The war was a pushback against capitalistic drives. Misery, not mystery. That changes things. Oh, God. Will we ever find intelligent life in the. You are the intelligent life. Now use it. Personally, I don't think so. It depends. The probabilistic nature is very great. That, according to probability, probably not. But people often take that as like, because there's this high level of probability, that it only makes sense that there must be life. But that's actually not true. Has to fit within like a certain frame, actually. We exceeded that. So, better be entertaining. You're like, no, I'm not gonna. You know what? Might as well. Nobody else is out there. Fuck it. But like, be good. Be a good person. Be nice. If you're like, should I wear this outfit? Yeah, fuck it. Maybe someone's watching. Actually, that would go against what I just said. Bye. What is this lady talking about? We don't really know. We're just here for the vibes. Have you heard of The Three Body Problem? Best sci-fi I've seen in decades. Good book too. I have. Sorry. Sorry if you can hear it. Hold on. I have. I have heard of it. That goes into the whole. I was listening to, fuck, what's the channel's name? He does interviews with like a lot of Zen Buddhist vibes. You don't have to be Buddhist. I can't think of his name. What's his name? But I came across a video on that topic specifically by a physicist who was actually talking about the three body problem, but I can't remember the guy's name. But if you type in physicist, three body problem, it should come up. What did I just stumble into? I don't fucking know. I wish I could. I'm talking about why Germany got so desperate. Fascist ideas come from Italy. Okay. You know what's up. Just checking. Just checking. Mystery. I'm just kidding. As long as I see Mussolini, you're Gucci. I hate saying it like that, but like seriously. It really reframes the whole claim every time. Not Lex Friedman. No, 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 no. This guy, although Lex Friedman definitely has the Zen vibes, he definitely does. Um, no, the guy I'm thinking of has long hair, he's tan, maybe he's Persian, could be Persian. Um, anytime I've heard of the three body problem in my brain from like more right, I know he's centrist, but like I know I heard somebody with Jordan Peterson talking about it, and I would say it was an inaccurate representation of the three body problem. But like that space, not what I'm talking about. Totally, it could be more in the center. It's just very, like, very zen. This is the best way I could describe it, honestly. Spiritual? Maybe. It depends. Doesn't even have to be spirit, like, in that way. It could be, like, integrative. It depends. I would know it if I saw it. Ricky Martin. No. Doesn't reframe. I didn't say reframe the outcomes. I meant if I did, I just meant when people make a claim that somebody is fascist or like any sort of claim that involves the word fascism, if you don't ask them what fascism means, it changes what the entire like assertion is. If you're talking about somebody who rose to power in a dictator way and that's like the main focus, it changes it. Think about it. I feel like that's obvious. As opposed to actual fascism, like pointing out something like as a collective that I'm sorry, comes away from, well, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. I learned in debate that, like formal debate, you need to clarify each word in the, what do you call that? Like the topic, um, before you get into your three arguments. And it's necessary. And one of the ways that you could win is reframing or redefining each word in a way that benefits your proposition better for your side. So doing something like free will is a good one. People always mix up the definition anyway. If I say free will is um the choice that could be made without any influence on anything else, thinking nature, nurture, whatever. But somebody that wants to argue that free will does exist is going to want to broaden that definition or get really specific. It depends, actually. That's just like one way to look at it. Did that make sense? The way that you define it and the key concept? Like if I keep that definition to the underlying influences, dictate outcomes, whatever, then my arguments will be tailored to that. But something you can do is change the definition sneakily so it appears that you're favoring their side when really it's just emphasizing yours. It's like one tactic. It's been a minute. Anyways, my whole point to that was that like the definitions are really important because if somebody like for fascism, if somebody's trying to point out somebody rising to power who shouldn't have power, then versus like an entire collective and the economy, And the people, it's like, are we trying to recognize the pattern in a person? I don't know, I feel like that's obvious. But you'd be surprised. Debating is so fun. I slapped a person in the wheelchair. I hope they ran you over and put you in a wheelchair. Then you'd have to walk around with the belief, the truth, that somebody who was unable to walk put your ass in a goddamn wheelchair for life. Tragic. Goals. No one would believe you. Technically, you wouldn't be walking around. No, we wouldn't. Not wide and no depth. Such a shallow human. I don't know if you're in a wheelchair. I give you absolute free will to just fuck him up. Fuck him up. Do what you can. Oh, the irony. That would be actually a really good plot for a movie. I want to see it. Somebody do it. Somebody do it. I don't know how. I don't know. I feel like we will do it. Like, if you spoke nothing, we would do it. No, maybe. I don't know. Find the idea of somebody putting me in a wheelchair hilarious. Dude, they're like my it is though. Like while you're trying to be like this like it's funny though. Like no disrespect at all. Like literally the consequences of my actions if it were a meme is like that's just like the ultimate oxymoron, isn't it? It's like you want to harm somebody who's already disabled who can't do many things. It's like hold my beer, bitch. It just really reframes it like beautifully. I don't know, there's a lot to dissect from it. Ew, throw me away. Oh, I don't know why that was funny though. It was funny. Have you ever had someone No. You want my voice? I wanna It's like, what's good now, man? My recent post? I think everything's fine. Anyways, okay. It is 1:19 AM. I need to go to sleep. A torshaa. Oh my god. Wait, my dad took people in wheelchairs swimming. Wait, I love that. Oh my god, there's so many. You guys are crazy. Oh no, there's so many of you. Okay, I'll end it, I'll end it. Alright, guys, like the video. I had a plan to, like, react to 2 videos, and we didn't get there. Talking about Salem witch trials, and I'm the Bella Thorne from Tamu. Absolutely. Okay, guys. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Love you. Bye.